All right, good afternoon. It's Kinninigan. One of my subs left me a comment. Sunshine is here to stay. Hey, Kenny, could you please do more in-depth videos about reptilians? Also, many of your past videos from your other channels are gone. They're not actually gone. They're on Odyssey. You can go to Odyssey. It used to be LBRY Library. I have 3 YouTube channels on there, but they don't get backed up from YouTube anymore. YouTube is a dick. They used to be able to be backed up by Rumble. They cut the API. That's how websites communicate with one another. Like how you're able to log into a lot of websites with your Google account. You know, it's all right for Google to do it, but because YouTube didn't want other platforms backing up your YouTube videos anymore, but those videos are on there, and I could always give lectures about reptilians. Um, I'm going to show you some pics of aliens. How does that sound? So if you could support the channel, I would appreciate it. I don't monetize my videos. I'm not doing too well financially. Every little bit helps. I had a small donation yesterday. I went out and got ground meat. Um, why? Because after this video, I'm going to make some pasta and meat sauce because it's cheap and it's good. I know how to cook. It's one of my, one of my I do a lot of things. I have to be jack of all trades. Yeah. Anyway, but all the money goes for good stuff. Whether cat litter, cat food, food for me, it all helps. Um, but this is what I want to talk about. I was thinking about what could I talk about with reptilians, and one of the things is I'm not going to do this right now, but in the morning tomorrow, how about I read you a chapter from the book I'm working on? How does that sound? This way, I can read you something that is mine. Um, I'll read you the chapter that I have most complete from the book I'm working on is actually the one about the difference between the Ajiji and the Ajiji gods and the Anunnaki, which is a very debated subject because Zechariah is stitching muddy the waters with that. But there's another thing that I thought about with working on a book with reptilians. I finally decided what I'm going to do. I'm going to write multiple books. Hopefully, the one for Alpha-Draconians I'll put out first. The second book will probably be the one about native Terran reptilians. The third book, which I'm going to show you some pictures of right now, is going to be about Zeta Reticulans, tall alien whites, and probably a fifth book on demons or archons. And that way, if I'm doing a book, and there's going to be 4 books in the series, once you get the first book out, this goes for anyone. Look at George R. R. Martin. He's still working on the next book for Game of Thrones. It's been going on 14 years. Hopefully, it don't take me that long. I think I'll get my book done before he publishes that. I hope he does because I'm actually reading Game of Thrones right now, and I'm up to the second from the last book that's out right now, A Feast for Crows. um, However, it's like I can't escape reptilians. I mean, you got the whole thing in there with the Targaryens and their quote unquote reptilian bloodline. Now, you might not know this, but George R. R. Martin originally was going to make the Valerians in his original book. He was going to make them reptilian. I heard that from his own mouth. Then he was advised to cut out the reptilian lizard people and put dragons in the story instead. And what is dragons? The Latin word for dragon is Draco, and these entities come from the Alpha-Draconian star system. Now, I'm going to show you an Alpha-Draconian, so if you could support the channel, I would appreciate it. I'm going to show you some pictures here that will probably blow your mind. You might have seen these pictures if you've been following my channel for a few years, because I don't think anyone else has these pictures. I don't even know where I got them from. One of them, I really don't know where. I almost couldn't find it on my hard drive, and I remembered I had it on the writing software I'm using. But first of all, let me show you. So this is an Alpha Draconian. Oh yeah, thanks, Micro. That's my Microsoft news feed popping up there. Don't you love Microsoft? It's my Trump derangement syndrome. It's my Windows 10 Trump derangement syndrome feed. That's what I call it. Yeah, here we go. Every day, breaking news. Trump. Whatever. I will say this in defense of about politics. I went back and I deleted all the videos off my channel in the past month that were about politics. There's a lot of shit going on in the country right now, and I don't think it's going to benefit me to talk about it because I'll wind up getting myself in trouble. So I figured, you know what? But I will say this: Donald Trump has been on video probably more than any modern president in existence, besides Barack Obama. But I'll get to him in a second. And I have not seen Donald Trump shift on video, whether it's a liquid crystal polarization, occult anomaly, slit eyes. I don't see him breaking up on video. I don't see him shifting. What does that mean? Well, yeah, like, and if you find a video of Donald Trump shifting, send it to me. I'll make a video about it. So until then, I don't think he's a Freemason either. I think it would be too easy to throw Donald Trump under the bus if he was a Freemason. So if he is a member of a secret society, it's one that we're not aware of. That's all I'm saying. So enough for that. All right. So this is an Alpha-Draconian. They are avian. And yes, they look very much like the Skeksis from the Dark Crystal movie. Jim Henson kind of knew what he was talking about. And this is from Illustrator helping me out with some. And we have a few different. Actually, I have a lot of pictures of them. One of the things that I plan to do when I release my book is probably release an art book also. A book probably with pictures of Alpha Draconians, sketches like this. I even have paintings. I have paintings. They're not oil. I think they're acrylic. I don't think they're oil. I think they're acrylic paint, but they're nice. And I used to show them on live streams. I have paintings of Alpha Draconian reptilians. That's pretty cool, isn't it? And yes, they will be in my book. So, as far as reptilians go, I'm going to read you a chapter tomorrow morning. Be better to do, because I want to go over that chapter and do some editing tonight. Um, the only thing I might not do in that video, I'll read you about the Ajiji gods. I'm not going to name all the Ajiji gods because there's been a huge debate about that, and I have a theory to how many there are. But basically, the Ajiji gods, that is Marduk, Enlil, Enki, and I'll explain all that, when I read that chapter tomorrow with the difference between the Mar. And then you have 300 Anunnaki who were created by Marduk. But there is another side to the Alpha Draconian story. And what I need to show you first before I tell you this, and it actually might be in the title of this video, maybe it is, the Alpha Draconian Zeta Reticulan Alliance. But I want to show you what Zeta Reticulans look like. And I'm going to explain something here. So, the Alpha Draconians this is really important, they're symbolic of the Babylonian Empire and eventually what would become Rome. Now, if you know your ancient history, there was a very strong, in the Mediterranean, you have another civilization there known as the Greek and the gods of Mount Olympus. I pretty much have come to the conclusion that it's not just the Alpha Draconians we are at war with. It is the tall alien whites, otherwise known as Zeta Reticulans. And they are probably the creators of the Archons. The Archons are the 3 foot tall. They look like people have said for many years. You can call them aliens. I'm convinced pretty much they're demons, and they could be summoned through the lesser key of Solomon. Aleister Crowley himself showed what a demon from the lesser key of Solomon looked like with lamb, and it looked like an alien gray. So you have Zeta Reticulans, who are symbolic of the Greek Empire, and Alpha Draconians, whose symbol is the eagle. The Roman symbol is the eagle, and they would be the Roman Empire. And this explains a lot of the subversion with religion. Where did our modern Bible come from? It's written in Koine Greek. So, of course, there's been subversion in our religion. Here's one big question that I have, and maybe this is more of a philosophical question. I'm not going to get into it too much now. If Alpha Draconians want to rule over this planet, why do they have to admit to us that God or Jesus is even real in the first place? Why can't they just declare that they're God? They created the universe. That's actually something you're taught in secret societies, that you can become a god of your own universe. It's very anti God, actually, right? Um, but why do they even have to admit that God is real, or that Jesus was a real person? Why can't they just scrub that from history? Maybe they can't. Have you ever thought about that? Oh, and they know God's real. I think. So anyway, here's some interesting things here. Now, this picture I want to show you here. I had to find this. This is the software I'm using to write my book, Nimble Writer. But that is a Zeta Reticulan. That is a tall, alien, white Zeta Reticulan. And this picture I found years ago, going back at least probably 10 or 15 years ago when I was posting at Disclosed TV in the forums before I even had a YouTube channel. I don't even know where I have an idea where I found this picture. It was on a blog. But something about this picture stood out to me. And it was an article stating that the reason the Japanese people look so different is that they were actually created by Zeta Reticulans, and yes, that Asians are a product of maybe Alpha-Draconian, Zeta Reticulans. I'm not even trying to be funny when I say, and the idea is that these tall alien whites could exist in Japan and walk among people without even being noticed because they would wear wigs and put sunglasses on. Zeta Reticulans do not have the ability to shapeshift, and they are interdimensional. But if you look at the Zeta Reticulan here, um, yeah, but wait, there's more. Then years later, I would find this picture. This is a picture of Anana from ancient Sumeria. She doesn't look like an Alpha Draconian in this statue. She looks like a tall alien white. Look at this face. This is very interesting. So this is something that I had to, I just don't want to do a book about Zeta. Um, I want to put like the reason I'm doing Native Terrans in another book. They have nothing to do with the Alpha Draconians. They're hostile to them. The Lacerda files are on my YouTube channel. You can search for them. There's a whole entire 3-hour video, ad free because there's no ads on my YouTube channel. And I hired a voice actress to play the part of Lacerda. Some people actually thought I was talking to a reptilian in that video, but I wasn't. And she explains a lot about the native Terrans. So um, that's why I would probably just want to do a separate book on them. But as you can see, yeah, these are Zeta Reticulans, and they have been, working with the Alpha Draconians, the tall alien whites. Now this was the first version of the book I was working on. Yeah, that's obviously a fake picture. Oh, Darth Maul. Why did I have Darth? Oh, Darth Maul. Yeah, there was the slits. George Lucas definitely had reptilian symbolism in Star Wars. That's a tricky thing to do videos about because of the copyright with Lucasfilm, but yeah, it's definitely there. Um, but yeah, the Zeta Reticulans. These and where it gets interesting. So how do I know that the Zeta Reticulans were the god of Mount Olympus? What I am going to show you here should pretty much blow your mind. You could do a simple search here on. You could do this. Oh, that's a picture I found. Kind of iconic picture there. The eagle with Zeus, obviously. The eagle being symbolic of an Alpha Draconian reptilian, and then the Greek god Zeus holding it. That's a picture I need to save. There's a reason I had that picture pulled up. Yeah, we're saving that one. That's a good one. That is exactly what I was just describing right there. But if you go to Google, I'm at DuckDuckGo, but it doesn't matter. All the search platforms are compromised unless you use Yandex, but that's actually run by Russia. Whenever I search conspiracy topics now, I use Yandex because every search engine has been corrupted. Just saying. Um, but all you gotta do is put in statue of Zeus's head or the bust of Zeus from the British Museum. So you know I didn't manipulate this pic. The actual bust of Zeus from the British Museum. Now, this is what I'm going to tell. In the occult, in magic, this is a rule of magic. You take things in magic and you reverse it and make it your own. The Nazis did this with the swastika. The swastika, the other way around, is a representation of the Big Dipper throughout the four seasons of the night sky. It's symbolic of them taking over planet Earth in the age of Aquarius, which happened December 21st, 2012. That is who is starting all the shit on planet Earth right now, is the Fourth Reich. I told you I made a video about Klaus Schwab and the Black Sun. I had to take that video down. Because apparently the Order of the Black Sun doesn't like videos made about them. Gee, I wonder why. Probably because they're the ones causing the most trouble right now. So, here's where things get very interesting. So, here's the bust of Zeus right here from the British Museum. And Zeus is the highest god in the Greek pantheon. And you could do this with all, if you have busts of all. This is one of the reasons I believe a lot of the ancient Greek statues are missing their heads. And I believe this is the reason why. So, what you are actually looking at is a tall alien white Zeta Reticulan. Because if you take the head of Zeus and you turn it upside down, like you do in magic, you reverse it. Now what do you see? There goes the mouth. There goes the almond-shaped eyes. That is a Zeta Reticulan. One, whoever carved this statue, this is pretty damn impressive from an artistic standpoint. I'll tell you that right now, to be able to do that. So there would be no way that a human would be able to see this. I mean, what are you going to go to a temple of Zeus and cut the head off and turn it upside down? I don't think that would have played out very well in ancient times. But this is one of the better examples of the bust I had, so I use this one. Yeah, and you look at that, and it looks just like that. These are the gods of Mount Olympus, the Greeks, the Greek gods specifically. Now it gets even stranger, and it comes into because I had a video. I looked it up on Odyssey. I did a video on the gods of Mount Olympus. I might just re-upload it to YouTube because all these gods of Mount Olympus have sigils associated with them, and like the sigil to Molech I showed in that video, they look like electrical circuitry symbols. So yeah, all the gods of Mount Olympus have different types of black magic casting symbols associated with them. And like I said, the alien greys or the archons are what you summon in black magic occult ritual. Demons have a few different ways they look. One is dog-like or the hellhounds, and or they just look like alien greys, the small little gray aliens. And like I said, you take the statue of Zeus and you invert it, and you have the face of a Zeta Reticulan alien. That is not a coincidence. Yeah, now you can see it. That is that is not a coincidence. And then, like I said, here's one representation of Anana, Ishtar, being depicted as a Zeta Reticulan, which I find I believe it's supposed to be Ishtar. I could be wrong about this. This is not one of the Greek gods because you see she's also sitting on the back of a lion. That goes back to the missing Bible book of Bel and the Dragon when Daniel refused to worship Marduk and was thrown to the lions. And after 7 days, he was not devoured and he survived. And that's why you see statues of like Gilgamesh strangling a lion or them standing on top of lions. It's a symbol of the Lion of Judah, Christianity, or God. This is one of the reasons why I believe they can't tell you that God doesn't exist or Jesus wasn't real. I always thought about that. Why don't they just come out and say that they're God? You know, I don't think they can. And I think they're having a very big problem right now in modern times with getting people to join their secret societies. I don't think they're getting the best of the best in the Church of Satan and other black magic witch covens and groups. And they seem to be a dying breed. And maybe that's why they're trying to cause all the chaos on planet Earth right now because people are they're rejecting it in mass. Um, I'm in Philadelphia. We're the oldest city in the country. We have the oldest Masonic lodge in the country, and a lot of our local lodges have been closing down for years within the city. People are not joining. Young people are not joining. That's a problem for them. Alpha-Draconians are never going to come out. I believe they're actually scared to show humans their true form because they're basically parasites. Yes, they feed on negative energy and the negative, that's called loss feeding. There's an entire chapter in my book on loss feeding. But there's not as many of them as you might think. Um, in total, I mean, there might be hybrids, but I'm talking pure Alpha Draconians. You have basically about a dozen Ajiji, and then you have they operate like a hive. You have Mumu Tiamat. She is the highest of the Alpha Draconians. Yes, I just told you that. Mumu Tiamat, she who bore them all. How many times have you heard that name? If you hear a lot of shills talking about Alpha Draconians or Reptilians, the only two ones that they'll mention are Enlil or Enki. Quite honestly, I think people just like saying the word Enki. But Marduk is the real one. It was Marduk who made Daniel have to worship him. It was Marduk who created Babylon. And yes, so I don't know. Zachariah Stitchin never mentioned Marduk, suspiciously. But you can't trust anyone teaching you about reptilians that is a black magician or a member of a secret society because this is who they worship. This is where their power comes from. Of course, half of them probably don't even know what they're actually doing or that they are basically engaged in serpent worship. Then you add in the other element of the Zeta Reticulans, and these are the two main entities I believe we are at war with. There's also some theories that maybe they're at war with themselves. Maybe this is really why Japan and China don't get along. I also believe that these Zeta Reticulans possibly feed on negative energy, which is probably why they're associated with demonology. But I believe the Zeta Reticulans probably created the Archons themselves. And yeah, I've done a video about Dulce Base also. And that's the underground alien base in Dulce, New Mexico. So I'll try to get some of them older videos re-uploaded to YouTube. So I'm going to try to stick with doing alien videos and reptilian videos. I'm kind of done with politics. I'm going to lose my mind. I could report on evil and corruption all day, but it's not going to help if no one's doing anything about it. Just saying. So, I don't know. But quite honestly, I don't think we can fix this country unless we confront secret societies. I don't think Earth is ever going to move on as a civilization until we cleanse the Vatican. But they seem to be losing their power right now, and I believe the downfall, the symbolic downfall of that was when Queen Elizabeth died. Because I don't even think the royal family has as much like power as they once did. It seems like after Queen Elizabeth went away, look at the other royal families. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry have become nothing but Hollywood gossip, tabloid talking stories. And Meghan Markle, she's a man. I don't know if you knew that. Yeah, Transformer. A lot of those freaks in the royal family. But nobody said, that they're not pulling. I believe that was like a symbolic downfall, kind of the royal family. Oh, and the other thing, I was doing videos for people for a while. They were asking me, the princess, where's Kate? Yeah, has anyone? I'm going to look and do an update video about that also. Princess Kate, well, we haven't really seen her for the past year. I still don't think we've seen any updates about her. I don't know what's going on with her. So I got to look into that also. And let's see, this one, Alpha. Yeah, this will be the chapter I read you tomorrow. The GG gods. Is this the outline from my book? Well, this is probably going to change. Uh, Avian symbols 300. Oh, we have most of. I have most of the names of the Anunnaki. I had to go through and edit this, but I don't think anyone's ever put that in a book yet, have they? All the names of the of the Alpha-Draconians? I don't think so. We got them. It's hard to find because when people make lists of the Anunnaki, they often confuse them with demons. I've seen, like, Molech is not an Alpha Draconian. He's not Anunnaki. He's always in the list. And then also, a lot of times they'll put demons in here, and they're a separate, totally separate entity. Gods and blue mixed breeds, demigods. Okay, yeah. And they are not the Nephilim. I think I know what the Nephilim are. And it's not from my research, it's from somebody else. And I think he's right on with that. I'll make a video about what the Nephilim are. In ancient times, the Nephilim were known as something called the monstrous races. Dogman was one of them. So were satyrs, if you know what a satyr is. A goat horn. Yeah, we'll talk about the Nephilim in another video. But yeah, definitely the 12 of Gigi could be the fallen angels. Maybe they are. So, okay. So there you go. There's some pics of aliens and represent an Alpha Draconian right there. But this pic here, where's it at? And the one I have of the one I have of the Zeta Reticulan right there. That one always came off to me as just being strange. I can't even find the original pic on my hard drive because I have so many pics on my computer right now. I need to go through and delete them all. The ones I don't need. Because, or I should have renamed it. But yeah, so we definitely have something going on here with Zeta Reticulans and Alpha-Draconians. Um, they seem to be working together, and it definitely explains the Roman Greco terminology when you hear they'll say like the Roman Greco Empire, and it definitely explains a lot of things. Even their languages, like people like ancient Greek, when you look at it, it looks totally different, probably because it was created by Zeta Reticulans, which explains the Greek symbols, obviously. Then when you look at cuneiform, which is the true language of, there's also a few other occult languages that Alpha-Draconians use. One is called angelic script, and it actually looks like, when you look at angelic script, it looks like something that could be written easily with an entity that like had three fingers. And that goes back to the Tower of Babel and them confusing. And I'm going to make the book more about these entities and what I know about them. Yes, they do control the world to do black magic, but one of the things I held off on writing my book for so long is, did I really want to expose satanic ritual abuse in these books? Is there any benefit to it? And quite honestly, I don't know. I don't think so. There's been quite a few people in Hollywood, supposedly Matthew Perry, Gene Hackman, with his wife dying from that disease you get from rats. Okay, you see where I'm going at with this? Seems like anyone who's tried to expose satanic ritual abuse or elite pedophilia never even got to the point where their books got published. You see where I'm going at with this? However, if I just stick to the facts about reptilians or Zeta Reticulans and what I know about them and their place in ancient history, I think that could be pretty good. It would still be more than any other book you're going to find on Amazon about reptilians. Just saying. I already looked at the competition. It's not. I even think the competition about Zeta Reticulans. I think I just in the stuff I showed you here is probably more evidence than anyone has ever shown you, especially when it comes to the ancient Greek statues. That is not a coincidence, and I've done this with a few other Greek statues, and yeah, it's the same result each time. You invert the heads, and you get a face of a Zeta Reticulan, which is very interesting. So yeah, I'm gonna try to keep the YouTube channel going back to reptilians and archons, aliens, cryptozoology, the occult. I need to stay away from politics, or like I said, I'm gonna lose my mind. And that, so if you could support the channel, I would appreciate it. It helps me. Oh, here we go. There's the full statue of that. Yeah, that is definitely. I gotta be careful. YouTube gave me a community guideline strike for supposedly having nudity on my YouTube channel because I showed the picture of Eve in the Garden of Eden, the infamous painting where she's naked with the snake wrapped around her, and they said it was pornography. I'm like, get the hell. This is the kind of shit I deal with on YouTube and other people. So but yeah, that's a very good. That was made in 1533, so it's a Renaissance sculpture. I gotta find out who made that. That is definitely the Greek and Alpha-Draconian ties right there. That's supposed to be Zeus with a big ass eagle on him. Oh, don't I don't think it gets much better than that. So if you could support the channel, I would appreciate it. Like I said, I'm gonna probably make some pasta. I gotta get something to eat. Yeah, and the Zeta Reticulans. This picture here. I do not know where I got this. I believe the blog. Like I said, I got that from years ago, and someone was putting out this theory that Japanese people had Zeta Reticulans probably in their country, and it's because they could easily walk among the people in Japan. And I said, I love Japanese culture. Japanese people are cool, but you gotta admit they kind of look a little weird. I mean, you go around the equator to where Japan is on the equator, and you just go around the Earth. nobody else anywhere on Earth looks anything like the Japanese people. It's like, where do they come from? Why is their skin like they have light skin, almost white in some cases. Um, and Japanese people look distinctly different than Chinese people and other Asian people, and it's bizarre. It's very bizarre, right? So, and this one appears to have a wig on. What I mean by this, I don't know if this is a sculpture, if someone made that, or maybe it is a real alien. Maybe it is a real Zeta Reticulan, but I have the picture for a reason. It's definitely yeah, and then we have this I guess it's sculpture of a Nana with the obviously Zeta Reticulan looking face right there. So I'll try to in the morning tomorrow. We'll read about the Ajiji gods and the Anunnaki and the difference between them. And I do have. Hold on. I'm gonna also go through and see how many reptilian video. How many lectures do I have on here about reptilians? Okay. Here's a good one. The reptilian Ajiji god Marduk. This video is over an hour. This is on my YouTube channel. I do have some lectures on here. So if you search on my channel, yeah, and I also came out with this original theory that these handbags the Anunnaki are holding, I believe, contain human blood. It's another thing that mainstream scientists can't figure out. So, my theories don't go back to like Tepe. Anyway, and an introduction. So, yeah, I'll go through here, and the ones that don't have on here, I'll put up. I think a lot of the lectures I have, they're on Odyssey, or we'll have to do new ones. The reason why I didn't upload all like a lot of videos, I have to go through them. Sometimes there would be live streams and stuff I'm doing where I'm talking about current events, and not a good idea to put those videos back on YouTube. So sometimes I have to go through, or else I'll just redo them. Anyway, any questions or comments, leave them below. If you could support the channel, I would appreciate it. And yeah, tomorrow I'll give you a reptilian video tomorrow. Don't worry. We'll talk about the Ajiji and the Anunnaki and Momu Tiamat and who the Illuminati really are. And no, you cannot join the Illuminati. If you're human, you cannot join. It's not something that that you could just go pay some lodge dues and get initiated into. You are either an Alpha-Draconian or you're not, and you're not joining. I think Illuminati has become an overused word. They don't even refer to themselves as the Illuminati. You know what they refer to themselves? Um, or well, you could say the Brotherhood of Babylon, I guess. But obviously, they use all these secret societies in conjunction with black magic. That's where the archons and the demons come in to control planet Earth, and I think they're having a problem with that right about now, which is explains why they're freaking out about everything worldwide. They have to like what's going on in Ukraine. That's a lost feeding. No, that's what this is the kind of things that they feed on. They have to keep us in a state of war, a state of fear, a state of paranoia, and most importantly, not allow us to develop our pineal glands. Because I believe when that happens, their power ceases to exist. because 8 billion enlightened people would go tell the Illuminati to go screw themselves. And we wouldn't fight in wars anymore. This is why they've infiltrated everything from Buddhism to Catholicism. Every religion on earth has been subverted. So, anyway, any questions or comments, leave them below. If you could support the channel, I would appreciate it. Take care, and God bless.